If you're heading out on a shopping trip and looking to get the most bang for your buck, buying new is not always the answer. But sometimes buying secondhand can end up costing you in the long run as well. So which items should you buy new? Which items should you buy used? Here to weigh in is Howard Schwartz of the Connecticut Better Business Bureau. Nice to have you here, Howard.
Nice to be here, Teresa.
So everyone's trying to save a little bit of money, but you really have to be careful with what you're buying new, what you're buying used. And let's start off with the items that it's okay to buy used.
All right, you can save a tremendous amount of money on things like books, CDs, DVDs, video games. These are things which you can readily check for scratches and damage. So you can go into various places, pawn shops, tag sales, the whole thing. There's a CD collection. I had to snap a bunch of photos last night.
Is that your CD collection?
That's my
Do
CD
you still
collection.
have CDs?
Yeah, I know. I'm a bit of a dinosaur. But these are wonderful items you can get, and you find them also in the bargain bin at various stores.
Right.
Those are good purchases to make. Baby and toddler clothing. Kids outgrow their clothes so quickly,
Right.
basically often in a matter of months, and if designer labels don't matter, and for a lot of people they don't, then pick something up, ask friends, you can go to Goodwill stores. Everybody has toddler clothes because they go through them so quickly.
And as long as they're clean, right? It doesn't matter too much. They're going to throw up on them anyway, right?
I wouldn't have said that, but it's a good point.
All right. Also, tools are okay to buy used.
A screwdriver is a screwdriver is
Whether
a
who
screwdriver.
uses it, right?
Well, in my case, it may not be used that well, but these are pretty much all the same. Power tools are trickier, so you will find these in various places. Again, garage sales, tag sales, at pawn shops. Make sure they work before you take them, and there are a lot of them available. So if you are a handyman or handywoman or want to become one, those are the places to get
That's
them.
a great thought, a pawn shop. You don't necessarily think to go look in there.
Pawn shops have changed. Our perception has changed, but also the way they operate has changed. And you can find many of the things we're talking about today and more at pawn shops.
All right, and fitness equipment. Even gyms tend to buy fitness equipment used.
They do. Now we're seeing, we've got shots of barbells here. You can't go wrong with a barbell. You want to watch out for things though, like a rowing machine's okay, but treadmills, you're talking about electronics there.
Sure.
They're also very bulky. So you want to be careful with that type of thing. And you can save thousands of dollars by purchasing used fitness equipment. I don't know how many people I know that have treadmills that are used constantly as clothes hangers.
They're just under the bed, not really getting a lot of use, right?
Exactly. And bicycles, but check them out. You want to see the chains are okay, the cables, and the tires. And they cost a lot less to have them fixed up than to buy a new one. When I was a kid, I didn't want anything secondhand or used.
Of course not, but you could save money that way, right?
I certainly can.
And let's talk about buying a used car, because the instant you buy a new car, you drive it off the lot, you're losing a lot of money, right?
That's right, and depreciation really is the issue with many of the things we're talking about. A word of caution, when you're buying from out of state or a dealer that you don't know, Better Business Bureau has had complaints and law enforcement from across the country about people who are selling cars, people who are buying cars sight unseen, which isn't wise, but they're buying from people who pretend to be auto dealers, and they're not. And these cars may have extensive flood damage, and they're fixed up cosmetically, and then they're resold. So be very careful. Make sure you're dealing from a reputable dealer. You may even want to go onto Google Earth and make sure that the address they give you isn't a field.
Oh, that's legit, sure.
Yeah.
Good thought there. All right, let's move on to the items that you should always buy new.
Okay.
On baby equipment.
Baby equipment is fine. Again, if we're not talking about mattresses and that type of thing, you can get, I would avoid certain things like, for example, cribs and car seats, because the technology is changing. There are recalls, and that like helmets for bicycles or for motorcycles. You don't want to buy that used for a couple of reasons. First of all, because they're made to protect you from one accident and one accident only.
And if you have that accident, right?
If you have that accident or if someone else does, the damage isn't always apparent.
Right. Okay, let's move on to laptops. Again, you talked about electronics a little bit.
Yeah, laptops are very tricky because it could be knocked around. You may not be able to tell what's going on inside. And unlike things like tablets, a laptop has a hard drive. And if it's had one or two bumps, that hard drive can go. And in fact, they have a limited lifetime. You don't know what's happened. That being said, you can get a refurbished laptop and get it from a reputable dealer rather than from a tag sale or from a classified ad.
All right, so refurbished is typically okay to do.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so let's move on to digital cameras, video recorders, DVDs. These you should probably buy new.
These you should buy new. They have a limited lifespan. Again, you don't know what kind of a battle they've been through.
That's true.
And they're very, very inexpensive now if you buy them used secondhand. They're usually in good condition. But if you're buying, again, offline from an online auction site or you're getting it from a classified ad site, you just don't know what you're getting. And remember, in certain cases, if it's a tag sale or if it's from a face-to-face transaction on Craigslist, for example, it's take it as is and it's at your own risk.
You don't really know the history of it, right?
Exactly.
All right, and let's move on to TVs, plasma and HD TVs.
They're all over the place. I remember when these sorts of things used to cost you $6,000.
They're not so bad anymore if you get a smaller one, right?
They're not, but the caveat with these also is that when something goes wrong, if you buy it, you don't know what's gone wrong with it. And it usually costs, and many people have told me this, it costs more to have them repaired than to get a new one.
Ah, I see. Okay, and then this one, I don't know if you necessarily want to sleep on someone's used mattress or box spring, but there's health concerns there.
There are health concerns. The word I would use is gross. Potentially, you just don't know what you're getting into. You can get wood furniture, you can get the bed frame, but yeah, avoid mattresses and also upholstered furniture. And one of the big concerns is bed bugs because they don't really like beds. They can jump and they can get into upholstered furniture.
Then they're in your house.
And
not
they're very
good.
expensive and tough to get rid of.
Sure. Well, very good. Great advice, Howard. Thanks so much for being here.
Always a pleasure.